In studio, I've got an advisor guest in town from Tempe, Arizona. Good friend of mine that we've met each other, I guess, probably 2+ years ago now. We travel in some of the same circles, some of the same conferences, and in fact, we're in a mastermind together. We'll be in Milwaukee, I think, in October. Together.
That's right.
With another good friend of ours, Tony Drake. And it's just iron sharpens iron. People always ask, well, why do you have so many advisors come on your show? I'm like, well, I want to learn what I don't know, right? And I always tell my clients, you don't know what you don't know. You're in town though for our tax mastermind, which we now do twice a year. We have 18 advisors coming into the office today. You're one of those. So tell us a little bit about why you chose to come to this event. What are you hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, well, I was at one of the events. I actually happened to just sit right next to you on the table, and these other advisors are coming up and they're talking about it, and they discovered that I had not attended, and they're telling me how crazy I am, that I really need to do it. I think some time passed, months went by, and then we ended up at another conference. Ended up sitting on the same table as you again. Kind of the same thing happened, and I'm like, okay, I need to see what this guy knows. And so I'm anxious to learn today.
So we're really excited to have you here. So tell us a little bit about your practice. So you have a couple offices, or you have a main office, I believe you said, in Tempe, Arizona. Is that where you're based out of?
Yeah, we have 3 offices. Tempe, Arizona is our main office. We have a Tucson office. And then we have an office over in Valencia, California.
So you've been doing this a long, long time. Now, I want to point out, too, for those of you watching on YouTube, flip over and check out, Lane has an amazing channel called Financial Fast Lane, where he puts a lot of great videos. I love the shorts you do, just, walking up. I'm not tipping for this smoothie or whatever it is. I mean, that is, one of the things that drives me nuts now. First of all, I don't mind tipping, even for a barista to make me a coffee, but I think they should provide the service first. If I like the service, then I can determine how much of a tip to give, right? But this,
right.
Hey, would you like to give? And if you'll notice, they're getting a little more aggressive with the little flip box. The minimum is now like 22% on some of them, 25 or 30. I'm like, wow, you guys are getting really aggressive with the tips. I mean, you go pick up donuts from the counter and they're expecting a tip. I'm like, okay, we got to figure out to draw a line. So anyway, I love the videos that you put on there. I think that's real topics that people can digest, and people are thinking about it. And with inflation today, let's face it, the cost of everything when you go out for something and then you want to add on that extra 25 or 30% tip for something that maybe didn't deserve it, that would drive me nuts.
Right. I like to tip, but it is odd.
Yeah, it's just, and that's just you don't want it to feel odd. Now, I was a server, I was a bartender, I was a waiter, I was a bellman. So I did a lot of tip jobs when I was younger, and I didn't mind it because if I hustled and gave great service, I would get a good tip, right? But it was on me. But this forced tip before you even provide the service, that one cracks me up. But anyway, so you can see you're learning a lot of amazing financial knowledge here today on how to tip or not to tip. So let's just talk about your practice. Are you primarily focused, as we are, on kind of retirees in the desert out there?
We are. Yeah, very similar. Retirement income planning is our focus.
Very good. And so when you're working with clients today, what are the concerns are you hearing from them today? I mean, obviously, the number one concern most retirees have is my money going to last, right? Am I going to run out of money? But what on the periphery you're hearing, like, and different parts of the country have, kind of different moods, if you will. And we have a very unique election season upon us, right? So we now know who the vice president candidates are on both sides of the main tickets, et cetera, who the nominees are. We're getting some stirrings here. People are getting a little nervous. The election, and again, I always talk about, look, I'm a registered independent. I don't care about the party or the person. I care about the policy that will implement. But is the election a concern for your clients right now?
I think it's a concern for everybody. Yeah. I mean, they're always wondering what the outcome's going to be. But I think to answer the question really is, retirement planning has really become so much more complex, really. Right?
You're not kidding.
Just a few decades ago, it was entirely different. And
a few decades ago, you would just, each year they get older, you'd buy a 1 or 2% more in bonds, and you would simply ladder
right.
starting at about a 60-40 and increase the bond exposure and use basically about a 4% distribution rate, and it wasn't very complex.
Right.
That's not the way it is today.
Right. Well, and getting it right, I mean, the quality, the end result of a good plan, it's amazing, right? The difference.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount of savings, the avoiding so many landmines out there.
Yeah, drawdown risk, longevity risk, legislative risk, which is a much more topical thing that we have to deal with today. We have a very partisan legislative bodies today, and that's at the state levels and the federal level. And we have these elections that swing. And now, it used to be there was some kind of crossing of the aisle. I always talk about like the conservative folks, and I'm a fiscal conservative, like love Ronald Reagan. Well, Ronald Reagan went across the aisle to Tip O'Neill and got stuff done, right? Same thing, Clinton. We had a great economy under Clinton, a Democratic president, because he went across the aisle with Newt Gingrich and he had the New Deal. And you had these guys actually work things out to the betterment of the economy, and nobody got everything they wanted. But since Bush Jr., really, we've just gone well, you're one of them or you're one of us or whatever side you may be on, and it's not getting any better. And so those legislative changes could swing things wildly. Like right now, we have a presidential candidate that is calling for a 70% tax hike, or rate, 70% tax rate. That would be a 100% hike on a lot of folks.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens, but I certainly see higher taxes in our future.
Right.
And so those are the concerns that add to those complexities that you were talking about.
Yeah, and even if taxes didn't increase significantly, people are not in a good position tax-wise, right? All the tax deferral for many years, they've been following the rules. And now they realize they've actually got a tax problem.
Well, and not only that, they have hidden taxes coming so many people are not aware of when it comes to Medicare, right? So they've done a great job saving up $1 million, $2 million in their IRA, and now they're finding out, oh, wait, I got to pay tax on that? Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Now that makes my Social Security taxable? Oh, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Now I got to pay tax for Medicare because I made too much? Oh, yeah. And we talk about it often. One IRA distribution on a married couple can create 8 or 9 taxes depending on what state they live in.
Right.
For one distribution.
Yeah.
That's America. Right? But you can avoid the landmines, as you said, by proactively pre-planning. Well, so what is the average age of the typical client that's walking in your door?
It's usually age 55 to 62.
Okay, so ours are a little bit older than that, but our average client walking in is about 64. Our average client is actually over 65 now, and that's going to continue as clients age. But, working with this older subset of clients, then they also have the other landmines of understanding how healthcare is delivered in retirement. And a lot of people have no idea how Medicare works, and they end up just, I want the cheapest plan or the free plan, right? Like a Medicare Advantage plan. And sometimes, it's really not free. It's like that tax deferral account. You're just pushing out some cost, and then someday it's going to catch up, and that out-of-pocket exposure can kind of make you have to spend a little more money than maybe you thought, right?
Right. We have clients, at least lately, that want to retire prior to 65, and there's that health insurance issue, right? The private cost. So it's an expensive piece, and a lot of times that alone can keep people in the workforce a little bit longer.
Oh, absolutely. We have a client that works for a great company, Costco Foods, right? This client has done phenomenal, about $4 million in assets gathered. Works at Costco stocking shelves. He's mentoring younger guys. He actually enjoys it, but he's there for the benefits. He's like, I got 2 more years to go till I'm 65, and because he didn't want to pay the $1,700 or whatever the quote was for his monthly health care. So he's like, I'll stay physically fit, and I'll mentor some younger kids. And anyway, every time I talk to him, he's just actually, he has joy on his face because, he is retired in his mind. He's, I'm doing what I want when I want. So I guess I am retired. So, and that's the reality. What does retirement look like, right? And as you said, when you have a proactive plan that addresses their taxation, legislative risk, the risk in the markets, right, volatile markets today, addresses healthcare and even the legacy planning, what they want to do after they're gone, they have confidence to know it's okay to take the trip or to spend the money or to do whatever it is that's going to put the smile on their face. Like I have to arm wrestle so many people to spend money. I'm like, you worked your whole life for this. Take some of it, please, right?
Yeah, that's a big transition. So they're so hardwired to save, and they actually reach that point where it's like, hey, you can actually spend this now.
Yeah, and getting them convinced that it's okay to do that takes some work. But that's crafting a plan, having a written plan, an income plan that actually has contingencies in it, right? So if you have a married couple, one of the things we have to do is we have to talk about, what if one of you was no longer here, unfortunately, early? I remember chatting with a client about a year ago. Diagnosis was not good, cancer diagnosis, and so it changed the plan.
Yeah.
So we took some shifts, and there's some tax planning we can do if we are notified of these things, why we know we're still filing joint tax returns. So it's critical that you have a good relationship with your clients so they're communicating this type of information with you. So what's your favorite part of this business? So you've been doing this for a long time. What's your favorite part of this gig?
Well, it's fun when we have clients come in who, they're full of anxiety, nervousness, uncertainty, and being able to put a plan together that they understand, that it makes sense, and just to see the kind of the relief that comes over them. I mean, that's, we've had many times when we have tears, right, in the office.
Yeah.
And they're so overcome because it's just been gnawing at them with the uncertainty. Can I do this? And then when they see they actually can and they can have a high level of confidence, that's very rewarding.
It is. That's an awesome feeling. I love doing that on a review, like third or fourth year they're on board as a client and they're still coming. I just want to hug you. We're so happy. We're so grateful that we know we can do the things we want to do. So I hope the training that you're here for this week is awesome and you get everything out of it. And I want to thank you for being on the show.
Hey, thank you. Looking forward to it. And thank you much.
Absolutely. So check out Financial Fast Lane on YouTube. That's Lane's channel. And you can read more about him in the link below here on YouTube.